Hi artists! I wanted to talk to you a little bit this week about paper mache and why I think paper mache is a great stay-at-home media. It's something that you can do better at home than what you can do in my classroom at school. At school you only have an hour once a week and we have to store all of those projects and try to keep track of them, and you can't work on the same thing every day, where at home you can keep your project in a safe place and you can work on it over and over again all week, and it makes it a lot faster to complete a project. And so paper mache needs to get applied and then dry for a little while and then get applied again and then dry for a little while, and you can do that really well at home. The other reason why paper mache is a great media for at home is that it really doesn't take any special supplies. You can use a base of a tinfoil figure like what you're seeing me do if you want to, wads of paper that are taped up, or you can use a balloon. Fabian Hernandez, if you look into his work a little bit, he uses partially inflated balloons that he tapes into different shapes, and you can add sticks to them or rolled up paper tubes or pieces of cardboard or all kinds of things. It just doesn't take very much special supplies, and you can make a really durable sculpture that way of any size that you want to. So I'm going to link to some other artists' work that do paper mache of all different types, and I'll just show you a little bit about what I'm doing, and I hope maybe you're going to want to engage and persist with some paper mache at your house. Okay, this is my aluminum foil figure that I've already put one layer of newspaper paper mache on, and I decided that I wanted him to be heavier on his feet. So I went outside and I got some little rocks because I thought that might make him easier to stay standing up, because the way he is, he tips over a lot. So I'm attaching these little rocks using paper mache to my guy's feet. Okay, now this is happening super speedy because I filmed it in fast motion. So now the rocks are attached to his feet using newspaper. And I'm adding some more newspaper to it. Make it nice and smooth and strong, and just overlay the little rocks so that it's nice and hard there on his feet. Okay, that worked pretty good. I had to roll up some little tubes under his heels so that it wasn't too wobbly and rocky, but I'm pretty happy with the way that worked. Okay, so you can see in this one that I've already put newspaper over the top of my tinfoil figure. I've already done that. So in this one, it was before I had the recipe for the Fabian Hernandez flour paste. So I'm using the cornstarch glue from my homemade glue slideshow, and I applied newspaper all over the outside of my foil figure, and now I decided that I want to try using napkin over the top of that newspaper to see if I can get them to be white, because I'm guessing that I may need to use a different kind of I may not be able to use acrylic paint or tempera paint to color these because I might not have that at my house. So I'm going to try to put a white base on him so that I can use maybe watercolor or maybe markers or something else, maybe even crayons, to color the outside of it. So you can see here that I'm putting just a finger in the glue, and then I'm rubbing the glue over the surface of what I've already applied that's dry, making the surface of the figure be a little bit sticky, and then I'm using that sticky glue finger to tap in my already ripped up napkins. I tore them in tiny pieces so that I could have a smooth surface, so I could put these little pieces on over the top of each other and not have them be all crinkled. So I'm being really careful not to have wrinkles in the surface of that as much as I can. And then I'm using also my gluey finger to rub all the edges down and just make sure it's really good and stuck before I move on to another area. You might notice that as soon as the napkin gets saturated with glue, it becomes translucent. But I'm hoping, we're going to find out later on here, I'm hoping that it will become white once it's dry. Okay, so I had so much fun doing that little figure that I decided that I also wanted to make a different one. So I made another aluminum foil figure, and this one I'm also going to attach some little rocks to his feet. You can see I've already got one layer of newspaper on it. I brought in some rocks, and so the next thing I'm going to do is attach some rocks on there. So here's super speedy mode, Mrs. Anspa, super fast, attaching rocks and running strips up his legs and putting more paper mache over there to make sure that it's nice and sturdy and solid. So you might notice that the paste is a little bit different in this one. I switched over from the cornstarch paste to the Fabian Hernandez flour paste. I do want to make the comment that it really doesn't matter what you use to attach all these pieces. Paper mache works with almost any kind of glue. So if you have Elmer's glue, you can dilute it a little bit with water and it works, or you can make one of the cornstarch pastes or the flour pastes, or you could even order in methyl cellulose gel like what we use at school. And because this is Engage and Persist week, and I am having fun engaging and persisting, I made yet another foil figure, and this one I'm using paper towels on rather than newspaper, just because I'm experimenting a little bit to see how that works. Now I've noticed on this foil figure that he's a little skinnier than I want, so you can see me wrapping up some little pillows, sort of paper towel rolled up. There we go, I'm making a rolled up pillow right there. And I'm using the paste to just stick it on where I want it to go. And it's holding it there well enough that I can then put, there's me sticking it on there. And then I can use those strips that I've already torn up to apply that over the top once I have these little pillows attached in the places where I want them to stay. And now some of those pillows are pretty well stuck on there, so I'm using the pre-ripped up strips again to paper mache over them to make a nice smooth surface. Okay, and we're jumping ahead a lot here because it's not that interesting watching me do paper mache. It's a slow process, but I've decided I want some ears on that figure, so I found a tube that I can use to cut some cardboard ears out. And then I'm going to fold them, and I put a little split down at the bottom of each ear like that, so that I can kind of spread that bottom out. I'm making tabs that I'll use to attach to my figure's head. And now I've got them stuck on there pretty well. Now I'm going to paper mache over the top of those ears to make them nice and strong. And here's my paper mache family that I'm pretty excited to move on to the next step, which I think will be paint. So I hope you have some fun doing paper mache too.